You're like you're about to read the news. Like you're about to read the headlines.
Hello and good evening.
Breaking news, right.
Okay, let's do it.
Hey there, creative minds and business enthusiasts. Welcome to Looks Like We Made It, the podcast where we dive deep into the dynamic world of video marketing, content creation, and all things creative. I'm Izzy, your guide through this creative journey, wearing two hats, head of production and senior video editor. But I'm not in this alone. Meet the other half of our dynamic duo, my dad, Chris, our director and creative genius behind Howell Media and Howell Training. Together, we're not just a podcast, we're a father-daughter team on a mission to bring you insights, tips, and laughs from the heart of the creative industry. Whether you're a business looking to up your video game or a budding creative hungry for knowledge, this is the place to be. We've got real life experiences, expert advice, and a sprinkle of anecdotes to keep things interesting. So if you're ready to unlock the power of video, bespoke content, and training to achieve amazing results, you're in the right spot. Fasten your seatbelts because this is Looks Like We Made It, where we turn creativity into success, one episode at a time.
Brilliant.
Done.
We're
Boom.
We're up
right.
and running.
We've done it.
Like it. Okay.
Right, so before I put my phone away, the topic that we've got today, I'm not jumping straight in, but I also am.
Okay.
The topic is crafting content for your target audience.
Crafting content for your target audience.
Yes, it wasn't meant to be a
Is that
play
a
on
question?
words. Crafting content for your target audience?
How do you craft content for your target audience? What is appropriate content for your target audience?
We probably should have thought of this before we hit
should.
record.
Right, okay.
But so, first to begin with,
Yep.
how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm working on the lead up to the actual question, so we don't just jump
You've done
straight
the question.
in. Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not going to mention why I'm happy as Larry this morning.
Oh no, you can because
Who's
you've
Larry? Well, Larry Lloyd, obviously, influential centre half for Nottingham Forest.
Do you want to talk about why you're really happy today?
Very briefly.
Okay, go on then.
Well,
go for it. You've been dying to all morning.
Well, I will just whisper it. So
Okay.
the mighty Reds,
Okay.
my team, beat even mightier Reds, some would argue, on Saturday. So Forest did indeed beat Liverpool.
I am the worst
At
person to be
Anfield.
talking to about this because
First
I know
time for
nothing.
55 years. It means a lot.
Does
I
it?
am joyful and triumphant.
I feel like you should be wearing your Nottingham
Thank you.
Forest shirt.
So let's
for
move.
this.
Yes, well,
Okay.
I've got my. I've always got
Okay.
it on underneath.
Just
Anyway,
yeah.
let's
Okay.
move on. So yes,
Okay.
up the Reds.
Great. Well,
Okay.
that's great news. I have nothing to add. But I wish I could have prepared something more. Well, as an avid Liverpool supporter, I'm devastated.
Oh,
I'm joking. No,
Yeah.
I was taught from a young age to support
yes.
Nottingham
I
Forest.
did actually watch Match of the Day twice.
Did you?
I did.
Was it any different the second time around?
Oh, it was even more joyful.
And triumphant?
Yeah, and triumphant.
Excellent.
Anyway, let's do it.
Right,
okay,
okay.
content.
So,
content
when
and
we're-
your target audience.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
because we were basically because we've got a lot of projects on at the minute that are for all sorts of different audiences, all sorts of different clients, lots and lots of different industries. And the key thing that always brings back all the content, all the ideas that we get clients coming in saying, I'm thinking of doing this, or I want to do this. And every time it always leads back to a target audience. Even when you look at stuff like the AdSmart content we produce, if you look at any of the content that we make, even stuff for our own clients, our own business, all of our own brand, it all centers back to a target audience.
Absolutely. And it all centres back to some really key questions about is it relevant to them? Mm-hmm. And is it appropriate for them?
Yes.
And is it going to be able to be measured, checked?
Yeah. Because how many times do you actually have a business or a small business owner or a founder or whatever it may be who's crafted their entire business around themselves?
It happens all the time.
Yeah, and is that target audience them or is it an actual unique alternative person?
I think it's about business maturity, and I think there's a generally speaking, people start businesses because they've done a thing themselves and they think, okay, I can now step away and do this for myself. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a learning process. This is quite a generalization, but I think there's a learning process where they realize that when you go from being a startup and there's like the growing pains as you develop as a business, and you really start to understand your target audience, you really start to understand what pushes their buttons, and basically what it all boils down to is what makes them become customers? What makes them buy the thing you're peddling? Because in reality, if you don't have customers buying your thing, what you've actually got is just an expensive hobby. Ultimately, if you get down to brass tacks in business, it's about the transactional aspect of it.
Totally.
And I think if you can, as part of that sales process and that sales environment you're working in, and our friend Paula Richardson would know a lot more
Smart B Sales
would know a lot more about this than I do.
Where is she? Bring her on.
But what I would say is that it's critical that you are directing your content to press the right buttons at the right time to your target audience. If you're going to say how do you define your target audience, that's another conversation.
Well, it's a process that has to happen because, and I've noticed it a lot, particularly when we work with lots of different clients, is that often the idea or the kind of basic, taking it down to brass tacks of what is a target audience and who is that person often gets overlooked because you're thinking about making money as quickly as you can. You're thinking about getting everything set up. You need all the social media platforms. You need a YouTube. You need a website. You need all of this stuff happening. And within that, I think businesses kind of forget that there is that one person watching, or there is that person out there, and almost taking I think it always boils down to strategy insofar as you have to kind of have quite a broad view and work your way back in. So if you drew out or mapped out your ideal customer, like your perfect person,
which I think is a good discipline.
Yeah,
anyway.
but like even down to like what they do on the day to day, what they do in their personal time, what their interests are, who they are, really, really boil them down without being too stereotypical, but just really pin down who that person is and looking at it from a broad, very, very broad picture of what is this person looking at on the day-to-day? Like, if you throw all of your content and everything you do onto social media, but your ideal audience member isn't actually on social media very often, then they're not going to see anything that you're putting out there. But in the example of if they're a taxi driver, they'll be seeing a lot of billboards, they'll be seeing a lot of roundabout ads, they'll be listening to the radio a lot, and that's kind of how you would target it. But there is a very interesting thing in the world of advertising, which is, I don't know why I'm dancing, but I'm adding it for the camera.
This is a vodcast.
Interpretive
I'm
dance.
Actually sitting.
I know, I'm
very
a flailer.
Still.
I'm a flailer, but the way.
What's your flailer?
Anyway, that's an old reference.
Everything I say is an old reference.
That's another podcast episode teaching Chris about modern
things,
modern times. So what was I saying? Which is the cool thing that in the world of advertising and marketing, whatever, is an audience member or someone has to be exposed to a message about 7 times before it really sinks in. So I think when you're mapping out what kind of content you want to produce and how you're going to target this audience member, you've got to think, how will this message that I've got for this person over here, I'm over here, how do I shout this message to them in 7 different interesting ways but have the same message?
And also, timing is important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
So, like, it's not only a case of you've got 7 chances to deliver your message. You've got to think about when you're getting that message.
Totally.
There are certain, whether it's times in the day, days of the week, weeks of the month, whatever it might be. There are certain key points where you're going to hook more people onto your thing.
Absolutely, because it's like if your target audience are mums with kids under the age of 10. They're probably not going to have time to look at your advert or take in your message at a certain time.
8:30 on a morning is
that's not going to happen.
No. To do that.
But what's really interesting is that as someone who has had a child in the past couple of years, I have experienced a new wave of adverts being thrown at me as an audience member.
So you've been targeted?
I've been targeted so many times in an advertising way, just to clarify. But the thing that I thought was really interesting is when Esme was about 9 months, sort of that age, where sleep was becoming something that she didn't want to do, I would sign up to, you go on to like sleep coaches, or you'd look at sleep websites and stuff about like different like sort of sleep things that you can teach them and train them in. And it would be like, oh, sign up to our newsletter where we'll give you an ebook all about the best tips for sleep. But what I was noticing is that they were sending me emails about new products in this sleep program at like 2 a.m.
So
or 3 a.m,
They knew you were going to be up.
knowing that if I was up at that point with a baby that wasn't wanting to sleep, I would probably look at that and go, okay, that's tempting, more than I would in the day.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And just for clarity, dipping a dummy in brandy is not a thing anymore, is it?
No,
Okay.
no.
I just wanted to be sure.
No, it's different from my childhood.
where you stand. That's clever. I mean, that is clever targeting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but have you spent any money on these things?
No, but I remembered it. And I think that's the thing.
And what is interesting as well, that from their perspective, what they've got is your information. They've got your details.
Totally, absolutely.
And they can do what they like with that now.
Yeah, totally. And it's almost like in the throes of desperation at the time.
Yeah.
I passed over my information. I was willing for them to give me what they had. They gave me that lead magnet, that little ebook, which was like, 10 tips.
And did you read it?
I did, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And
it's done its job.
But within that, though, is that I just thought it was very clever in terms of timing. You get people like Uber Eats, Just Eat, Deliveroo. They always email me.
What are they?
Yeah, country bumpkin over there. They always email me about, are you hungry? At about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
And that is very clever because they know that I'm the kind of person who'd look at that and go, oh, yes, I would like a burger, actually. That would be quite nice. But so it's interesting how targeting people at the right time does have an impact. But that goes beyond just social media.
That's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
I was going to make some statement about somebody turning up on a skateboard with a cold burger at 4 p.m. Doesn't appeal to me particularly.
Oh, well, city living. I used to have, but, they never arrived on a skateboard. It was always a bike.
Oh.
Which is,
It'd
we're
be
getting
better
off
if
track.
they did come on a skateboard.
Well, Just Eat if you're listening.
That would be interesting. So targeting. So the other great thing about a targeted campaign, of course, is that you have got the opportunity to try different things. Because that's the other thing as well, is that nobody really goes, right, I know how to sell to this person this product at this time. What the approach is always that you try different things. You try different times. You try different messaging. You try different imagery. You try different different ways of engaging with your potential audience. And I think one of the key things is how you then manage the information that you receive back. And I think that as filmmakers, as marketeers, as designers, all the things that we do here at Howell Media, weirdly, it's the analytical part that no one really ever sees, and it's that kind of like knowledge where it's not just guesswork. And I think that's one of the most brilliant shifts, certainly in my career, away from the old there's a really famous saying, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The only problem is I don't know which half. I think you can dial out quite a bit of that at the moment, because I think that you've got the tools at your fingertips and you can really dig in. And as the set's falling to pieces.
I'm blind. That's bright. They'll see our actual faces in the bright light.
So we're just having a quick set rebuild.
Like we were talking about how robust our organisation.
It's a robust organisation that's falling to bits.
There we go.
Thank you.
We've been tempered now.
Back in the dark. Where was I? Yeah. So understanding, digging into, and acting upon the information you receive, almost in a sense that regardless of how unpalatable it is, because I think a lot of people think, if I do this, I'm going to get this result. Yeah. And then ultimately, what they go on to discover is that when you actually dig into the numbers and you dig into the responses and you look at what you're getting back, sometimes it's not the things that you think are going to work. And actually, and as you pointed out before, it's often a combination of things. And I think understanding how to lock those combinations of things together and deliver a thing that's better or bigger than the sum of its parts, greater than the sum of its parts. That's the word I'm looking for. I think that's a really key thing. So don't just do one thing and go, that didn't work. You've got to have a strategy, and I think you've got to continually look at that strategy. But I think understanding the difference between a kind of a thing that hasn't hit the mark, hasn't worked for you, versus kind of what's gone off the scale, and then somewhere in the middle is the kind of like the slightly mediocre, but it might work if we tweaked it. I think digging into that and understanding it is a key point.
Data is key, and that is called A/B marketing or A/B campaigns, where you effectively say this is Group A and this is Group B, and Group A are these people who have these kinds of demographics, they're in this kind of sphere A, and Group B, I'm going to do content for the same kind of audience but in a different way, and you just kind of measure it. And I think all of this stuff relating to target audience, all of the stuff we're talking about, really does hammer home the concept of don't just jump in straight away and just start making stuff and going for it, because like it's all about having a plan. Like you think of your audience, you work out who they are, you really pin that down, and then that kind of influences the overall strategy. There's no point, you're better off, rather than spending 4 hours or 5 hours sitting and making loads of content that you're not sure will work, spend that 5 hours finding how you're going to do it and work it out and then do it.
And as we've said quite a lot on this podcast, pick the bits that you're going to make yourself. Pick the bits you're going to hire somebody to do. You know, I'm a great believer in paying for expertise, as you know, and I think that, and this is not just like, you know, a plug for us. I think it's in reality. In reality, you know, it's good practice to pay for expertise.
Oh, totally.
And if people are experts in marketing strategy, sales, sales approaches, sales training, whatever it might be, design, you know, wherever that's landing, I'm a believer that it's good practice to be paying for that expertise, because it'll pay for itself in no time.
Yeah.
It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It will pay for itself if you hire a good marketeer, if you hire a good content creation business, you hire a good partner to work with, to develop your brand, develop your messaging, and to then be able to report back. It will pay for itself.
Yeah, because consultancy is
free.
Yeah, and it's such a important thing, because it's a bit like when we kind of I like doing consultancy sessions as well as doing the actual physical content creation, because it's a bit like you go in and you get to see almost like a business's marketing, almost a bit like a Jenga tower. And sometimes you'll go in and it's really solid all the way up, and then sometimes you'll go in and there's like one precarious thing, or there's like gaps in the middle, and it's actually it's an interesting or fun, it's an exciting process of actually going, right, well, how do we put these blocks back in the right place to make it more sturdy? And I think it's a very interesting thing to go through, basically.
Yeah, and I think to sort of wrap this up maybe a little bit. I don't know if we're still
Where have you got to be? I feel like we've only been talking for about 10 minutes.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, well, Chris wants to go.
I want to go. No, I love it. This is great. What I was going to say though is that one of the key questions you've got to ask, and I know I'm a bore at this topic,
okay,
which is unusual. Is where do you want to be? What does success look like? What does success like to you? So when we go and talk to a prospective client, we go and talk to somebody about why they might want to work with us. That's the question to ask. If you're a business and you go, right, okay, I sell a service, I sell a product, whatever it might be. If you don't know what success looks like for you, how can an organisation like ours or others in the same game, how can we then advise and deliver content and a strategy that matches your expectations? Yeah. And I think that start at the end. That's my always be my motto. Start at the end. If you say, right, well, success looks like for me, I'm going to sell 50 of these things, and I'm going to sell, and we've identified that this is my market, and we then drill in and go, yeah, there is a market there. That's a really valid thing to try and reach for the stars and go for. Let's build a strategy around that to deliver what success looks like. Yeah. If you don't know what success looks like, if success to you is I want to sell some stuff, or I don't want to go bust, that isn't really a strategy. That isn't really a
plan. Really.
Yeah. And it's quite common as well when people start a business, they don't really understand the numbers necessarily, and they go, oh, it'd be great if only we could get, if we could get 10 clients and they all spend 300 quid a month. Oh, great, that's $3,000 a month. And ultimately, that is a kind of a very kind of naive and entry level, with not to disrespect anybody who's in that position, but ultimately if then you say, oh, and by the way, we want to be the biggest business in our region within five months, then it isn't realistic.
Yeah.
And I think it's important if you have the end game, know what success looks like.
Yeah, I think and the way that you can do that is often through data and understanding.
Absolutely,
and actually, like, because there are companies, there are sites, there are places that you can gather data about that audience, about what you do, about what people are interested in, and that leads me on to what I was saying before about identifying trends, finding out what's popular, finding out what your audience is searching, because, like I said, there is a Google Trends newsletter that you can sign up to. You can get where they'll give you a full rundown of what's been searched, what words people have said, what things people out there, genuine normal people, are asking for. But there is an interesting way, and I don't know if because we're in the world of marketing, you become very kind of self-aware of all the stuff that you're basically being sold to. Like when we see an advert, you kind of go, well, that's targeted to me because of this, or I've got that email because I'm a parent. Yeah. I'm very kind of aware of what content I'm getting and why I'm getting it. But a great way to learn about what your target audience wants and who they are is kind of getting used to being a target audience yourself. Okay, so kind of get in the headspace of someone of going, right, every bit of content I'm going to see has got some kind of sales related purpose to me. Why is that? And really kind of analyze your own, who you are as a person, and why that company selling jumpers decided to contact you, or why that company selling burgers sent you this email, or why you've got this at this time, and really do almost become quite self-conscious about it and think, right, well, I'm the audience member here. How am I being sold to? And almost analyze how that process goes, because everyone is we're all business people, but we're also customers. We're also normal people that just go about their day to day. But
that's fantastic.
Well, Chris has got somewhere to be now. So.
No, I do.
He's running off. Before he slides off the table, that was actually quite interesting. That
it is. And it's also interesting that we haven't done a vodcast for some time, that we've sort of talked about the business side of it, and the kind of like the grown-upness of it all. And I think that actually it's worth it. It's good.
We do. It's not just content creation that we do. We do a lot of other consultancy sort of stuff, which is predominantly this week, isn't it? That we are doing more of that.
I need to go and do some consultancy now.
Okay. Well, before you go, I did have that one question at the end, which I actually have run by you this time. You're not completely out of.
Yes.
But and that's because I did hear recently on another podcast people talking about the weirdest things they've ever had in the post.
Yes.
And that got me thinking. I swear there was a story that you told me. But my question this week to close off is, what is the weirdest thing you've ever had in the post?
The weirdest thing I've ever had in the post?
Or just...
Or are you referring to when my grandfather posted my dad a crab from Cromer?
I knew it was our family.
And why wouldn't you?
So
you just see a crab, you think, oh, my son would like that. Pop it in an envelope, stick it
just
in a post.
Just an envelope, straight out the water.
I don't recall. This was probably like early 70s. And then in a kind of like a different time where people were perhaps a bit laid back about kind of,
Oh, I didn't eat it, did we? Did you?
Well, they should eat it. Oh yeah, because sell-by dates hadn't even been invented. There's no such thing as a sell-by date. You just sniffed it if it was all right.
So you receive a crab in the post?
So you get a crab in the post and you just get it on a plate. Crack on.
Wow, stamp and all.
So that is a true story.
That is a genuine thing, because I did think whether that was real, and it is actually real. Yeah. You can confirm. Any other sea life arrive through the letterbox?
I don't think so.
Okay, interesting. Well, the best thing I've ever had through the post.
I was going to say the other thing is when you get accidental post, like when you get someone else's random post. Because we used to live in a house that we used to get stuff from a family in Hong Kong. And we
when I was a kid?
When you were a kid.
Oh, right, okay.
And we used to get cards and gifts from this family in Hong Kong. And when we weren't, I don't know, one year we weren't that popular. And I think we had like 4 cards, and one of them was from this family in Hong Kong.
I do remember.
Yeah.
And I remember
we got gifts, it was great.
We used to get like round robins and stuff from people
robins, yeah. People
but they were really detailed, and they'd be like, well, Bob's in jail again and stuff like that. But God, I forgot.
What people do you know?
No, but like I remember they would be really kind of dark and but Okay, well, my
Yeah.
one has to be, and I've thought about this earlier, was when I was at university and I was studying English literature and history, and I had to order a copy of Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf, the
Right.
book,
Yes.
the book.
Yes.
It was one of those like cheap Wordsworth classic ones, and it arrived on Prime, and I opened the envelope.
Oh, did it have a cutout and
No.
like a shiv or a knife or something?
No,
in
it wasn't Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. It was a CD of the best of Hall and Oates. And I remember I opened it and I was like, I didn't order this, but someone in the Amazon warehouse just thought, you know what, she needs this. And I gave it to my brother, and it's still in his car to this day.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
If we're talking about random stuff, we do get...
It's just the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah,
This.
we were once sitting in our garden and we heard an Amazon, and other delivery services are available, we heard an Amazon van turn up,
Yes.
and then a box literally just flew over quite a high hedge and just landed in our garden.
Did you hear a crash?
And inside was like a random, quite a nice random drinks bottle, addressed to an address that didn't exist. It was just it was very random.
Wow.
And we
Well, they just chucked it over.
chucked it over our hedge. So we got like a drinks bottle because there was no mechanism, because we looked at the address and the address didn't even exist.
Wow.
So so the Amazon guy just thought, well, they look like they need a drinks bottle,
So-
and just hurled it over the hedge.
We shan't leave your address here, but if anyone wants to hurl any packages over Chris's fence, please feel free.
Yes.
Well, that was interesting.
That's good, yeah,
Right,
thank
well,
you.
that was it for today.
thank you
And
very
I
much.
forgot I actually have a camera to look at nowadays. If you do want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, I can say that now. We do have our YouTube channel.
Oh,
and
you got
this
to say
is
smash the. What did you say? You do that, didn't you? Smash the subscribe button, or like mash the like. That's what they do.
Alice is wetting herself off.
Smash. They always say that. On
Mash
YouTube.
the like.
Smash the subscribe button.
Mash the like if you are hashtag mash the like
Yes,
if you are on
yes.
YouTube, as well as you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts as well. But that was it for this week. Thank you very much, and we will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Mash that like.